Hey, hello, everybody. Just going to reduce that down real quick here. There we go. All right. So thankful everybody could join us today. I'm really excited because these are products that I've been wanting to have for a really long time. We've had, and the thing is, we've have a excellent main product. It's fits most people. It's very, very popular. And so just to recap what that program is right now, it is a complete no-doc loan, which means there's no asset verification, no income verification. And by no verification, I mean, we don't even ask you if you have any money. We don't ask you if you have a job. We don't ask you how you're going to make the payments. So it's a true no-doc in every sense. One of our premier products for fix and flip loans. It allows very high leverage, up to 90% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab without any experience. The thing is that if you fit into this box, it is still the fastest and easiest way to get a loan for a fix and flip, and also probably the fastest and easiest for DSCR. However, not everyone can fit into that box. So if you didn't fit into that box, we were left with scrambling with everything else, trying to find a good solution. And one of my biggest frustrations has been that finding a reliable source that we could trust, because there's so much misinformation out there, because businesses are set up to try to attract you by saying whatever they have to say to get you in the door. And so what I have felt so often, and maybe you have too, is that, man, you guys said you could do this, and now here I am, and you can't. And sometimes we are even felt that we were excited about something that found out, well, that wasn't exactly the way that we thought it was. So the products I'm going to be talking about today, primarily, we are going to cover a little bit of the old stuff, but we're going to show where these products fit in. These are ones that we've actually tested and used so that you can know, yep, I can do that. That will work. We've tested it out. And so we can tell you that we know for sure that these are real and how to take advantage of them. All right. So anyway, just really glad to see everybody here. And I'm excited to start launching several things like this. And so I'm going to just go ahead and get to the meat of it. And what I thought I would do real quick, because I think in order to understand why these products are so advantageous, is you have to sort of understand how the lenders go about qualifying you. What are they, what's their criteria for these fix and flip loans? A lot of us will hear the terms LTC and LTV and ARV, and the lender calculates the value of this on 90% of the purchase and 70% of the ARV, or they might say 90% of the LTC and 75% of the ARV, and you're left going, well, what? You know, and I think that that's one of the biggest obstacles, and one of the whole reasons that I started to do these webinars and these trainings, because I feel that what empowers a person is knowing how to use the systems that are there, or the rules or the guidelines. So the guidelines are there, but they're not meant, or I don't think that they should be a barrier. Understanding them can make them an asset so that you can navigate, and rather than these guidelines being a barrier, they're basically giving you a roadmap. So if you understand them, you can get through them. But without having these guidelines and without understanding what they mean, you're left with having to call every single lender, every single broker, and ask just a litany of questions, and then have to really spend a lot of time just understanding and making sure that they're even relating it to you correctly. And I'm here to tell you that 90% of the people, even my own field that you call and you talk to, they aren't able to fully explain their own products. They don't fully understand them themselves. So what we're going to start out with is a calculator that I created to show you what is most important when you're trying to figure out if you can qualify for a lender's program for fix and flip. So this doesn't mean you can go talk to, you know, your friend or your buddy or some personal investor. That's going to be different. That's going to be whatever they decide, but this is going to use a lot of the same terminology and information that's going to help you navigate it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So what I did here is I sort of broke it down into the same questions and same criteria, because on every single house, the lender's going to start here, okay? And the thing is that there's actually two different sets of rules and two different ways that the lenders will go about calculating what you can qualify for. And so the first set here, the first question a lender or borrower is going to ask a broker, lender, loan officer. And the first thing you should know when you're getting into a fix and flip is you should have a good idea of what the ARV is. And so if you're stuck and you don't go, I don't know what the ARV is, I don't even know what that means. What we're looking for here, ARV should be the potential value of the property. In other words, what that property can be worth once you do your repairs. Now, once you get a little bit more familiar with it, the ARV can vary quite a bit because maybe you're going to do not so good of renovation. So you might go light and you might finish it only to, they'll call it like rental quality, or you might be finishing it to luxury or custom quality. But for today, we're just going to say the ARV has to do with what the property is potentially worth, okay? And if you don't know how to calculate the ARV, we do have some videos that we've created for going about and finding out what the ARV would be, or find yourself a good realtor, all right? Find somebody that is in your market that you can trust, that you can rely on. I absolutely recommend getting a professional to help you with that, but you should still know how to do it yourself. But anyway, so the first thing you're going to enter is the ARV. So in this case here, we put the ARV of being 300,000. The next thing that you're going to need to know is what is the percentage that the lender is going to use for the ARV. So if you don't know a number, just by default, put in 70%. Most lenders are going to be 65, 70, or 75. So if you don't know specifically, you may not know this until you have that first call to a lender about that. And the reason why is because this number can be different depending on your individual criteria, your experience, possibly your credit score, other factors. So this could change. And some lenders, you may even be able to, for the most experienced borrower, you might actually even be able to get that up to 80%. The next thing that you're going to need to enter is the amount of rehab. So I'm going to concentrate on the three things that you enter. You're going to enter the ARV, the or need to know the LTV ratio versus the ARV, and then the amount of the rehab. Okay, so in this case, I use 75,000. The next part is you need to know the purchase price. So you would put in the purchase price here. I just used 160 in this example. And for us, we also include the assignment fee as part of the calculation for our cost basis for determining the loan value. Then the next part is the maximum amount that the lender will use against the purchase price. So there's usually, on fix and flips, there's always two ratios. One is a ratio against the purchase price, and one is a ratio against the final value, okay? So then what we do is we would take, those are all the numbers that you need to know, by the way. So all you need to know for recap is the ARV, the rehab amount, and the purchase price. And then you need to know whether you qualify for a program that requires 10% down or 15% down or 20% down. And then you need to know the maximum percentage that the lender will lend on the ARV. So most of our programs, when we first start talking to somebody, we usually use 90% and 75% because that's our most people seem to fall in that particular bucket. But in this example, I put 85. What's going to happen is now right here, when you do part two, you're going to take the 160,000 purchase price, multiply that by 85%, and that ends up being a result of 136,000. So that is one of the numbers that you need to know, okay? Up above, we used the ARV times 75%, and you got 225,000. So that is the maximum loan amount that the lender could give you in any circumstances. So the combination of the money they give you when you first buy the house, plus your rehab, under no circumstances could exceed 225. Then if you subtract the rehab from that, 75,000, will tell you that the maximum loan that you would end up receiving is 150, okay? In the total loan. So down here, we're going to go through these numbers all over again, and you've got the purchase price for 160 multiplied by 85%, you get 136. Then what you have to do is you have to use the lower of these two numbers, of the 150 or the 136. And in this case, that's 136. So that 136 is used like this. We take the purchase price and we subtract the 136 from it, and that tells you how much that you actually need down. I want to let you know if anybody has any questions on this. I'm going too fast. Go ahead and ask. And what I'm going to do, that any of you that would send me an email and write this email down, it's team@unstoppablepunding. Just send a quick email and we'll send you this quick calculator in Excel for yourself, all right? You can use this with virtually any broker that does fix and flips that we talk to, okay? Now, this is the type of calculation that they use that I prefer, and that is that when they tell you the LTV, they're telling you a percentage of the purchase price, and then the secondary number is on the ARV. So what that means is that you have the purchase price plus the assignment, and then it's just real easy. You figure 85% or 90% or whatever that is, and that's your initial loan amount plus 100% of the rehab, then governed by this. But the second one is done a little differently. So I'm going to try to break down what I just said a little easier to understand. So the lender calculates the down payment on the purchase price when they say 90%, they mean if it's a $100,000 purchase price, that's $10,000, okay? There's a second way, though, that lenders calculate the amount of money that you need down. And this is different per lender. So this isn't going to change inside the same lender, but from lender to lender, they have a different way of calculating this. And so this is the second calculation. And what happens here is they take the purchase price plus all of the improvements. And then if they tell you that you need 15% down, it's not just 15% of the purchase price, it's 15% of the purchase price plus the rehab. Okay. So it's calculated a little bit different. So I had a second version of this here for you to use. You don't need to understand it in great depth. But this is how the numbers all work together, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump out of that. I'll send you guys a copy of it if you want to see it. And we're just going to jump right into the programs. So real quick here, if anybody wants to take their, of those that have their screen on or want to turn it on for a second, how many of you here are actually looking and buying and participating in flipping houses? Ready? There you go. I know, Lisa, you just bought one just a couple minutes ago. And Yvonne, I know you are. You're not off muted, but I know you've done at least 4. So great to see you. All right. All right. So what I'm going to get to next is basically going through what's new and our existing program. So the box is what I'm using to describe what we've been working with so far, and we still have. And that is this box where everything's just a little bit easier. That means your house is in the right location, you're buying your loan amounts of the right size, your credit scores and this, it's like Goldilocks, right? So if you fall into that situation, congratulations, because it's going to be the easiest thing you've ever done. It's going to be like falling off a log. But for some of you, you might find, well, I don't fit into this box for one reason or another. And so for you, we've created the rest of this. And I will tell you though, just for those who don't know, because there are a couple of people who haven't been here before, that the program that we have, our main, I don't want to call it our main program because it's the most popular, is still extreme. It's really good because there are no bank statements, there are no debt ratios. It's 10% down and 75% of the ARV. So it's very easy to do. But you have to have a score above 700 to do 90%. You have to be above 720. The home loan amount, you need to be above 150. So some of those things can be a little bit tougher. So we're going to dive right in though. We also do DSCR loans. So some of these products are new for the DSCR world. And for those of you who haven't done DSCR, our main program for that is very similar. No bank statements, no assets, no tax returns, no anything. Some of you who have maybe on here, you said, well, wait a minute, on mine I turned in bank statements. Well, if you fall out of this box, there may be some products or some lenders that may require a couple of extra things. So we're going to go through them. And if you have any specific questions about what that particular program requires, just holler. All right. So one of the newest ones that I'm really excited about is our new DSCR program. So who knows what DSCR stands for? Does anybody want to go off mute real quick and tell me what DSCR is? Just shout it out. Anyone? Anyone? I feel like that Bueller. All right. Everyone is muted. So if you know it, just unmute yourself real quick and say. All right. Well, the DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. All right. So debt service coverage ratio. What that means is the debt is the amount that you, the debt service is the amount that you have to pay each month for that property. So that's your loan amount, plus your taxes, plus your insurance, and any association dues, okay? That's what that's what the DSC is. The ratio is what that total number is in ratio to your rent. So a 1 means that your rent and your total payments are equal. Okay. If you have 1.1, then your rent is 10% greater than the total of your new monthly payment, taxes, and insurance and association dues. I saw, Stephanie, you took yourself off mute. Did you have a question? By any chance?
Nope.
Okay. And so for the longest time with for both DSCR and for fix and flip loans, we could not offer rural property. We didn't do rural property. Okay. Now the rural property program, they may want to show a bank statement. They may need to verify assets, but it's still, you still qualify based on the rent. All right. And so this rent ratio. But the reason why that you can see that you can say, well, why can't you do rural property? I mean, regular loans, consumer loans, you can do rural property. So why has rural property been a problem for fix and flips and for DSCR loans? The reason comes down to what they call liquidity, because the money for these comes primarily from private investors, and they need to know that they can get their money back. How do they get their money back? If the program goes wrong, well, they take back the property and they put it on the market. Well, they don't, rural property is a little bit harder for them because it tends to sit on the market just a little bit longer because you don't have quite the moving in and out that you would in a metropolitan area. So for those reasons, that's the primary one. There's some others. We haven't had rural. So now we do have rural property. One of the bigger things to remember though is that the minimum property value is $150,000 for rural property. That isn't a minimum loan amount. It's the minimum property value. And you may get a little confused because some of our products, like we just said, well, you'll see in another slide here that our minimum loan amount on DSCR is $50,000 now, but that isn't necessarily being able to be used in combination with every other program. So they don't necessarily all available in the same program. So we do now offer rural property. So I'm real excited about that, something we did not offer before. All right. We also just launched a new DSCR program for short-term rental. Okay. Now, Lisa actually is our first closer on that. She actually closed on her first short-term rental. Hers was a double whammy though, because it was short-term rental and rural at the same time. So we did both on one loan for her. Beautiful home on a lake in Houghton Lake, Michigan. That is a beautiful, beautiful house you got, Lisa. So what's different? So you guys say, well, I thought you could do short-term rentals before. Okay, so the truth is, yeah, we did. So if you had a home that you were looking to do a DSCR loan on, what we would do is just use a regular DSCR loan, and then what you did with it, you did with it. So if you used it as a short-term rental, no problem. But here's the difference, is that short-term rentals historically can get a much higher rent per month than you can on long-term rentals. Now, the difference is, though, it goes like this, goes up and down in a, so it's not consistent, it's not stable like long-term rental products. So the lenders didn't qualify you on short-term rental. Now, about 2 years ago, we introduced a short-term rental program, but it really didn't take off. You might have seen some brief blips about it. Why didn't it take off? Well, because the previous program required that you have experience with short-term rentals, meaning that you had to have done it for at least 12 months before, and that the existing property had also been used for short-term rental. So I'm going to tell you that that didn't happen very often, to where somebody was able to do that. It might have been nice for refinancing a short-term rental, but outside of that, I found it very, I can tell you that we did it exactly 0 times. So it was not a great product. This one, however, this can be your very first short-term rental that you have ever done. Matter of fact, it can be your first rental loan ever. And boom, you can do this. Now, they do require that you show enough money in the bank to close, but that's basically it. That's basically the only gotcha on that program. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same. It's a little bit longer on their appraisal process because it is a little bit more complicated. But outside of that, great program. I'm excited to have it. I think that at the end of the day, it's going to allow people to get into the market that are to buy that home that they wouldn't otherwise been able to do. So I know for Lisa, I would tell you if she had come to me 3 months earlier, I wouldn't have known exactly how to get that done. So I'm really excited to have that. And that I got that just in time for you, Lisa. All right, so I'm going to jump now on to the next exciting product we have. And I'm going to highlight the next slide first and then go back to that one. So you saw the 0 down. So this is our deferred payment program. Okay, so the deferred payment program is available for all borrowers. This can be your first house. So deferred payments, what does that mean? It means that you don't make payments monthly. You're not getting away free on those months. What's going to happen is they're going to keep adding that monthly payment to your balance. So every month that you keep that loan, they're going to keep adding to that balance. But you don't have to be coming up with that monthly payment out of pocket. For most of us, we also have other obligations in our life. So having that monthly payment can be very difficult to navigate. So having it built into the loan, I think is really, really cool. This program is a no-doc program, meaning we don't verify income or assets. So no bank statements, no debt ratios, nothing is looked at there for that. Hang on one second. All right. So that makes it somewhat easy. You do have to have the money at closing, but they're not going to ask you where you got it, and not going to ask you for verification of it. They will also, once they have established what LTVs they will lend you based on your individual experience and your income, they will also wrap in the closing costs. Okay. So when they say 0 down, if the ARV allows it, you can literally close with no money at all. Nothing. So that is super cool. 70% is the ARV max on that. So once you've calculated the ARV, you're going to just go back to that same table that we had and just put yourself at 100% on the amount, and you'll be able to borrow up to 70% of what that ARV is. So if your purchase price it's 200,000, for instance, you'd be able to borrow 100. I mean, if your ARV is 200,000, you'd be able to borrow $140,000. So if you bought a house for 90, you needed 40,000 in rehab and had 10,000 in closing costs, you could literally get in for nothing out of pocket. For the deferred payment program, you have to have a 640 minimum credit score. Right? 0 down, if you need to go 0 down, or we'd like to go to 0 down, you have to have a 680 credit score. You have to have 4 deals experience. Now, what they qualify for this program for experience, any rental products that you have, any rental homes that you happen to own, any properties, all of those count. Any flips, any ground up construction, any of those count as experience. And we count all members too, okay? So let's say, for instance, I just did one recently. It was about $1 million deal. And the one person had a credit score below 600, okay? And but he had really good experience, like really, really good experience. And his partner had like 700 credit score, but no experience. So we were able to use the credit of the one and the experience of the other on the same company to qualify. And they were able to get zeroed out. So I thought that was really cool. So but let's say though that one of them had 2 and the other one had 2 experience, we could do that as well, right? So you can add it together. So who you're partnered with can be very helpful for that. All right, before I go on, does anybody have any further questions at all about this? All right, I will say that this is not available. The 100% portion of this is not available in every state yet. The deferred payment program is, but you're limited to what. So the way that the zero down is done, let me just explain that part. It'll make more sense what I was going to say. So the zero down part is done because the lender has their standard program for what they require for down payment, whether that be 10%, so a 90, 70 scenario, or 85, 70 scenario. What they have that program, and so a person will individually qualify for the maximum there, but then they have a second mortgage that would also be available. So then the second mortgage is actually what covers all the down payment closing costs, and its payment is also deferred. Okay. So the first program that is available everywhere, the zero down part is not yet available everywhere, but they are adding a new state every day. So at present, it's not available yet in Michigan. I do see a couple people in Michigan. It is not yet available there. I will say though, I'm really excited because up until we've been pushing them for a year to add Michigan in, period. They didn't even offer the deferred program in Michigan. There's actually a few areas they don't, Len, but I'm from Michigan, so I have a lot of people, as you know, that I've known for years, and so I try to cover there as well as I can. All right, another new program we have that just rolled out is for commercial, which is basically mixed use. So this is a kind of a picture of what that looks like. So this would be where you have in this picture, you have a bakery and a salon downstairs, and then you have apartments above it. We now have a really good product for that. So if you are looking at buying a property and it's been mixed use and you're looking for somewhere that can do it, well, now we can do it. So anyway, that about sums up what I wanted to cover as far as our new programs. So I'm going to stop the share for a minute and just open up for any individual questions anybody might have, or maybe you'd like to go through a particular scenario and see where you end up, even a hypothetical one. Everyone is either listening really good or they don't. Go ahead, Alex.
Are you going to share? What's up, brother? Are you going to share those presentation PowerPoint or whatever?
The slides?
The slides?
Yeah, I can send that. Yeah, I can send that over.
I want about that calculator in the beginning.
Yeah, just go ahead and send, and the calculator. Yeah, just go ahead and send me an email to team, TEAM, at Unstoppable Funding and say, please send the docs from the webinar. I'd be happy to do that. So no, anybody have anything else they'd like to share? Because I can share some more announcements after that, but go ahead. So Joe.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man? I hope
I'm
everything's
good.
well.
I just signed the paperwork today, and yeah, it's done deal, I guess. Just waiting to close. Yeah.
To tell everybody where you signed for. Where's it at?
That's in Alabama. Actually, it's my third homes now. Since I started this new venture back in November. So I'm really excited. I'm still building wealth.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that I found you. John. That really helped. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I hope the experience was smooth and all right for you.
Yep. Everything is great. Actually, I mean, I never had this type of transaction before where I didn't really pretty much I didn't even think about it. Yeah, it was just yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I guess I do have a question for you for my next property. Um, when you do like do you always have to have a guarantor when you're doing an LLC? I mean, you're putting it under your LLC?
Good question. So, what you're asking is, do you always have to have a corporate guarantor, or can
Yeah,
you do non-recourse? Is that
correct.
right?
That's correct.
So there used to be an option at most lenders, if you had enough experience. So the top tier borrowers could get it. At present, I only know of one lender in the 1 to 4 family. I mean, in the corporate, yes, that's pretty common. The 1 to 4 family, I only know of one offhand that for sure does it. And they say it's non-recourse, but it's actually limited recourse. I don't know if you know the difference.
Yeah.
But limited recourse means that they can only come after you if you committed fraud or did something bad.
Of course. Yeah.
So but I can tell you that I haven't seen them come after most lenders that I work with. I haven't seen them actually go after anyone. They typically limit it to the property unless they feel that they really, you know, were a bad actor, you know.
All right.
But I don't know of anyone that they've gone after like that before so far.
Okay.
No, not to saying they can't. I mean, you're
Yeah.
absolutely could.
Well, I'm glad I found you, John. I mean, I didn't know that you do a lot of webinars like this, and this is really great. I mean, this will really help us, especially for new investors like us.
Oh, fantastic. So want to let everyone here know too that a couple things are happening. I mean, I'm really excited. I've been working on this really hard. I know a lot of you who follow me on Facebook are probably thinking that all I ever do is run, because I was training for that ultra marathon. But that was just because I was trying to say, you know, when you go about setting up a business for yourself, you're going to hit obstacles. Things are going to get in your way. And I was trying to show the resiliency of overcoming whatever comes your way with doing those. But in the meantime, though, I've been setting up the groundwork for some really larger, bigger things. One of them, though, because I feel it's so important, the community for fix and flipping, the community is so important because you can find the off-market deals, you can talk to each other, you can solve each other's problems. So one of the things I'm going to be beginning, it'll probably be in about 30 to 60 days from now, I'm going to launch a course that this will be a paid for course. So it also comes with a book called Flipping Boot Camp, or I think it's called Flipping Unstoppable Boot Camp. That's what we're going to call it. And so the way the program is going to be set up is going to be, I'm doing it as part of the 31-day university. And so in that format, you over 31 days, each chapter is going to cover a different aspect of what you need to know to flip a house or to become an investor in a house. It's going to be full of lots of things that I've learned from doing so many of the loans. And some of my own mistakes, which have been monumentous, I should say. And also, though, what's going to happen through it is that I'm going to recommend that each have accountability partners in it, so that each day you'll have different tasks or exercises so that to help you learn how to do different things and how to understand them and things to do to get ready. Now, there'll be things for the person that's already a flipper so that they can take it to the next level. But but I had to include it for someone who's never even had any experience with it at all. So it's going to be it's not going to be really cost and everything. I think we're pricing in around $250 or something like that for the 31 days.
Oh, great. That's good news, John. Yeah, keep it up. I mean, and yeah, send me the link and, you know, count me in.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And the next thing too, that we're launching, so some of you might have known I started out in the conventional mortgage side for many years. And one of the individuals I had a lot of respect for ran our portfolio department and our underwriting department in a major company. I mean, major by meaning we were doing 40 billion a year in conventional mortgages. And so him and I have decided to start a separate company because I want to keep Unstoppable Funding just doing concentrating on investors and not doing consumer loans. But we've decided to open a separate company that will service FHA, VA, conventional, and non-QM. And the idea is to make homeownership attainable for everybody and to try to bring that ease and a caring about helping the client, helping the person succeed, helping you succeed. I want to make the home ownership become more attainable for everybody. And so we're going to bring that to that side. And so that new company, we've already named it, already formed the corporation. It's called Unstoppable Home Loans. And so we're
Okay.
going to be launching that too. So we are going to begin, anyone that that might be interested in becoming part of or working with us, we're going to begin an affiliate program. We're going to be hiring processors, underwriters, loan officers, and then also individuals that just want to be a part of it, like an affiliate type relationship. So pretty excited about it. There's going to be some really great opportunities coming. So
Great news. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. And yeah, I'll go ahead. So Lisa, I see you're unmuted, so feel like you want to say something.
Yeah, I just had a question about the slide for the deferred payment and the 0 down. One side says 0 down, the other side, like, what would the closing cost look like for like someone that had like a credit score of like a 640 on that side?
So the closing costs are not going to and while that program does go down to 640, I may find a different lender that doesn't have a deferred payment that may have lower down payment and closing cost. Okay. So like we actually can go down to 600 credit score with some lenders. But the additional loan cost is really, there's not an additional loan cost, there's just an additional down payment. So you'd be looking at 20% LTC. Okay.
Okay.
20% LTC means the purchase price plus the rehab. So if it's 100,000 plus a 20,000 rehab, it's 24,000 down, not 20,000 down.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's no payments for the whole process.
Okay. And how long do they defer the payments for? Just out of curiosity.
For 12 months, 1 year.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the LTV is a little bit harder with them. Like you might get more leverage somewhere else, but since you're not making monthly payments, the risk to the lender grows quite a bit during that period of time. So that's why the 100% and no payments is like mind blowing. So.
All right,
And I'm really excited about it too. We've closed 3 on that program. And they're all very experienced individuals. Well, you have to have 4. The one individual had 60 flips they did last year, and average loan size was over $1 million.
Wow.
So, and quite high level expertise. He called me yesterday, and he has 2 more to do, and they're each right at my threshold of what I can do on that program. So just so you know, the 100% program, I can only go up to 2 million loan amount. And so each of his other ones are actually ground up construction, and they will be 2 million each loan amount. So kind of excited about that. Yeah, all right. Well, thank you, Lisa. Anyone else? Any last minute questions or thoughts before I go farther? I'm wondering, just, hey, Rick, can you take yourself off of mute and show your video, or you're not in a spot where you can do that right at the moment? There he is. Hey guys, I want to introduce you to Rick Rieger, by the way. Rick has been in training as being, Rick is actually an experienced loan officer, but he's going to be joining our team as one of our originators. And so he's been going through some of the training recently with us for our programs, which are quite foreign, quite different than the regular conventional loans, I believe. Right, Rick?
Oh, yeah.
And
But in a lot of ways, a lot easier.
Rick is over in the beautiful state of Arizona. So it's a little bit hotter than here, I take it.
The hardest thing about a conventional loan is getting docs. People just don't want to give them. So in this case, you don't need them.
Yeah, I like that too. It takes out all the reasons for saying, remove all the reasons to say no. That's my philosophy. All right, guys, thank you. It's been great. Anybody else have anything? I'll give about 30 seconds for you to raise your hand, and other than that, I'll just call it a day. It was short and sweet and quick, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, thank you, everybody. Stay tuned. We will be putting this out on YouTube. We'll be sharing it so that if you want to reflect back on it, and if you don't know the YouTube channel, it's called Flipping Unstoppable. Flipping Unstoppable with Arn. So we'll be sharing different things on there along the way. And we will celebrate being unstoppable. So, that reminds me, if you have or know somebody that has an unstoppable story, especially if it's in real estate, we'd love to collect that story and share it and celebrate whatever it is that they've overcome. Because I just think that that's what we're all about. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Take care.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you.